don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. The air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. And we sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman, because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value. So, I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 264th episode of the Political Spotlight, or we'll call it Haircut Watch number 1. Hey, we're there, folks. I can no longer do anything with it. When I run a brush through it, I get so much static electricity. It is now officially time to cut the mop. That is this insanity. So, unfortunately, I'm going to bite the bullet, and probably tomorrow or Tuesday, I will cut the craziness up top, shave, and get back to looking like a normal human being. Until then, look at this. Crazy. I just cannot believe how quickly it just gets so out of control. All right. Hey, I hope you guys are doing well. Hope you had a good weekend. I myself have had a restful weekend. Didn't really do a whole lot of much of anything, really. Just kind of spent some time with some family and hung out and did some secret stuff, and then spent some time just chilling. Since we were here last, we've had some breaking news. So, of course, we've got an interesting show tonight. It seems like probably the last couple of weeks we've really been Muncie focused, because it seems like one thing after the next has happened. And I know that I've got a lot of viewers that are happy, because I've got a lot of viewers from the Muncie, Delaware County area. So I know that people are happy about that. So that is good. We will be doing a story here this week. Sometime this week, we will be doing a pretty big story on Henry County. We'll be looking at what they're doing, a couple things that have been going on, following up with a couple meetings they have been having. We will be doing that, just giving you guys kind of a rundown of what's going on this week. We will be doing that. We will be doing a pretty big story about solar. Solar is back. I almost was going to talk about it this evening, but I want to make a post. I want to be able to make the live. I might try to set it up to do it either Wednesday or Thursday. That way I can go ahead like tomorrow or Tuesday, make the duck for it, make the link, and let people know, because I know it's going to be a big topic. There was a meeting, I want to say that the meeting was yesterday. It might have been Friday afternoon. It was either Friday afternoon or Saturday afternoon. and it was yesterday afternoon, and Councilman Ryan Webb was there, and there were about 75 citizens in attendance at this meeting talking about a new solar project that's getting ready to crop up, and we're going to have to go back to the mattresses fighting this thing. So we're going to be talking about that. That's a horrible deal. Matter of fact, my mother just sent me a video from United States Congress where Josh Hawley was really taking someone to task and kept talking about Invenergy, and was talking about what a horrible company Invenergy is, or was, and is. And that's one of the companies that have caused all of the craziness here in Muncie. So we'll be talking about that this week. Probably tomorrow we will give Catherine a little bit of time. Her big to do over there, the last couple big things they've had with the Rob Joswiak complaint to the election board, and then Catherine's complaint to the election board. They've made the media over there. They've popped up in the paper and everything that's going on with that. So we'll probably pull her on and give her 15 minutes tomorrow, which should easily mean 30 to 45 minutes. So, just to be aware of what's happening there. So that's kind of the breakdown of what's happening. Tonight, we're going to be talking about more of the bad news that is just incessantly hitting the Ridenour administration. So that's where we're going. Of course, we had a big breaking news event happen Friday evening. I was this close to going live Friday, and I just thought, nope, you know what? I'm going to make a post about it. The people can read my post. We got a lot of traction off of my post, and so hopefully that drives people here as well. That's great. And we were able to comment with those people. In the last about 6 months, I've stopped using social media as much, other than to just post the link, and I really need to get back to making comments and posting in there, and that has a tendency to drive people here as well. So that's what we've been working on here. We've been flirting around with another recording product, a way to come to you guys live nightly. I think Kate has worked the bugs out of Rumble, so we're working on all of that. Hey, before we get started tonight, please would like to ask you, if you're here watching via YouTube, to please do the YouTube commands. Give us a like. That would be fantastic. It doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't take any time. Just go up there and hit that thumb and give us a like the video. That helps us out. We don't ask you for monies or things around here. We just ask for your attention and you to hit the thumb every now and then, at least nightly. It's not that bad. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please do so. Subscribing does not cost anything, but it allows for you to then click the bell so you can set up notifications so you know when we go live, or when we go live outside of our nightly videos. We normally are here Sunday through Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern, but sometimes we go live at a various different time. Like if we would have went live Friday, it would have notified you that we were live. It also notifies you when we drop shorts and static videos, so that's the thing to do. I also posted in the community feature of YouTube this weekend, so it would let you know that. I am asking anybody that is on Rumble, please go to Rumble, type in The Political Spotlight, just what our name is, go right there, click it, and follow us on Rumble. So we need a couple people to follow us. That way we can go and start releasing the live videos there. So we would appreciate if you did that. And then, of course, we are a very interactive show. Please, if you're watching live, comment over here. We're interested in what you've got to say. If you're watching via replay, comment down below. And, of course, more importantly than all that, share the show with everyone you know. If you're watching via Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, or whatever other way you could be watching, thank you for watching. We appreciate you being here. Share the show with other folks that you might know as well. We would ask that you maybe consider at some point in your life following us on YouTube. It's a little bit better of experience, and it helps us out. If you watch us on YouTube, it definitely helps us out. But the fact that you're watching from where you're at, that does it for us. Yeah, all right. Well, so before we get into tonight's topic, I want to show you this meeting that Ryan was out at over the weekend, and it looks like a pretty big to-do. Like I said, there were about 75 people there, maybe more, 100. There was a meeting out at a farmer's property out there. Ryan says, attending a community meeting in opposition to the Royerton Solar Project. More than 75 citizens in attendance at a private residence. And I'm happy to see who was out there. I'm happy that Ryan's out there. Look, folks, he's got, what's he got? This month's meeting, the budget stuff, September, October, November, December. I mean, he's on his way out, but he's there. My interest is, and I need to ask him, and I don't know, Ryan, if you're watching, how many other elected officials were at this event? And if he's not watching, I will text him and try to find this out. I would be interested to know how many. Janet, please let me know. Ryan texted me and said, hey, are you here? And I was like, am I where? I was like, yeah, I'm here. I don't know if it's where you're at, but I'm here where I'm at. And he texted me and he was like, you need to be here. And I was like, dude, I didn't know anything about it. So please keep me posted. And I'm telling you, folks, listen, if you guys are ever aware or hear of events like this out in the community, out in the wild, hit me up, message me, let me know, because I would have loved to have been at this event, to listen, to take it in. And, you know, this is not something that I would have needed to per se live stream. You know, I wouldn't have done anything that these people wouldn't have wanted me to do, but I would definitely like to be there because I am opposed to this, and I'm definitely part of the fight, and it would be good for us to work together. With the people in Gaston, I worked very intimately with them, and still get messaged from the folks up there involved with that, and have actually become pretty good friends with some of those people. So I'm definitely interested in this, and I'm interested in helping the fight against this, specifically when it means taking up our farm ground and, you know, doing things that we shouldn't be doing. So, yeah, I would definitely appreciate that, Janet. Thank you very much. Do you know? Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I wouldn't have live streamed it. I'm just saying it's important to be there to kind of know what's going on and following along. You know, I would have assumed that wouldn't have been an event to live stream, but just to be there and to be in the mix of what's going on and knowing what's happening, it would be important. So, do you know, Janet, besides Ryan, were there any other elected officials there? Were there any other people there? Do you know? Stephen Brand was there. I'm not sure what other elected officials are. Okay. So in fairness, yeah, I would have assumed that Brand would have been there. That makes sense. Absolutely. No questions about that. That makes complete sense. That being said, he's not technically an elected official just yet, but as a candidate, I think that's important. Were there any other candidates there that you knew of besides Brand? I'm not sure what else other elected officials there. So yeah, I would be safe to say that quite possibly Brand and Webb were the only two people there. Maybe possibly Tony Skinner, the sheriff, or Jeff Stanley, the chief deputy, could possibly have been there. Maybe not. But I will have to follow up with that. That'll definitely be an interest. Okay. So we'll talk about that. We'll do a big show about what's going on, and we'll do a big show with where we are with the solar and everything towards the end of the week as I find out a little bit more information about that. Well, hello there, timing issues. Well, not too late. No, not so late today. No, we're just getting ready to do that now. Andrew Pop. So that's that. We'll talk about the solar stuff later on and find out what there is to talk about there. So on to the big story. As I said, found out about this Friday, started to go live on Friday, but I did not. I thought, well, we'll just cover it. We'll cover it on Sunday, and it'll be the same. It'll give everybody the weekend. So tonight's description more or less says, let's talk about the most recent bad news to hit Muncie Mayor Dan Ridenour and his administration. Friday's ruling on the reinstatement of 2 MPD officers. It's been a rough week for Ridenour and his team. It's been a rough month. It's been a rough summer. You know, in the military, a lot of times when they go through various training, they'll call it Hell Week. You always hear that. Sometimes in colleges when it's like when you're doing the exams, the big exam week, that students will call it Hell Week. That's what I called tonight's episode, Hell Week, or month, or summer. I mean term, hell term. It's like, honestly, the hits just keep coming. It's been a rough week. It's been a rough month. It's been a rough summer. It's been a rough first term. Now nearly 9 months into the second term for Muncie Mayor Dan Ridenour. And, he can't win for losing, The latest news, of course, coming down on Friday, the 16th, out of Delaware County Circuit Court 4, was a ruling from Judge John Fike in the lawsuit between Lane Clay and Jonathan Powell, former police officers with the Muncie City Police Department. They were the petitioners, and they had filed a lawsuit against the respondent, City of Muncie. The cause number is 18C04-2309-P as in Paul, L as in Lincoln, -00114. Just for those of you that aren't familiar with how the cause numbers are set up, basically the cause number is set up 18C04, lets you know it's Delaware County Circuit Court 4. The filing of this lawsuit was filed in September of 2023. That's that middle 4-digit number, 2023-09. So it was filed in 2023, the 9th month. And this was a lawsuit basically filed. This was filed before the officers were actually fired. The officers were terminated in February. They filed this prior to the termination because the officers were saying that they wanted court intervention because they believed that their supervisors, that their employer was not following the disciplinary standards set forth in the agreement that the city and the union had agreed upon. For those of you that are concerned and interested about what's going on with the fight that the AFSCME people have against the city of Muncie, folks, this is a perfect example of why the AFSCME employees are so concerned about what's happening with that fight. So obviously, right, we're getting a question. So there's a clause for cocaine. No, there's not specifically a clause for cocaine. There is a clause for substance abuse. So I want to start off by saying, first and foremost, I want to set a couple of things forward first. So obviously, this deals with two officers on the Muncie Police Department, Lance Clay and Jonathan Powell. I do not know Lance Clay. I don't know him from Adam. I've got a picture of him. Wouldn't know him. Even looking at the picture, I wouldn't know him if he walked up in front of me. Wouldn't know if he walked up in uniform. Wouldn't know if he was in plain clothes. I do not know that man. I've never interacted with him. I have no history with him whatsoever. Jonathan Powell. I would know him if he walked up in front of me. I do know of him. I do not have a history with him as far as we're not friends. We're not specifically enemies. I do have a history, obviously, with his mother. His mother is a current sitting city councilor, Nora Powell. When this first happened, look, a couple things. When this happened, I'm never happy if anyone deals with any kind of mental crisis. We all have the possibility of dealing with crazy shit in our life and bad things happening, people dealing with death and people dealing with divorce and just bad shit happening. So I understand it. It's a hard life. Okay. I don't wish anything bad on anybody, whatever. I think that our police officers need to be set at a higher standard. They need to be, the bar needs to be raised. While I say that, I've done the job. I understand. I understand more than most that at the same time, it's a calling. It is also just a job and things are different, yada, yada, yada. There's we could spend the next 10 years going into various degrees of the thoughts surrounding what led up to this. The bottom line is, currently in the state of Indiana, possession of cocaine is illegal. And if you or I or anyone else possessed cocaine and police officers found us, we would be in trouble. We would be arrested. We would more than likely be charged. It could lead to the termination of, it could lead to our termination, yada, yada, yada. Now, a lot of people, when this first happened, ask me like, hey, are you excited? Are you happy this is happening? Because, like you've had some history with the Powells. And I was like, no, this is a bad thing. Like I particularly don't care for these people, but I don't think that this is not a good thing all the way around. It's another black eye for the police department. It's another black eye for officers. It's not good all the way around. Get it? Okay. With all of that being said, I do not believe that I don't want officers out here high as they're patrolling. I don't want officers out here breaking the law while they're off duty, yada, yada, yada. Okay. That being said, whether we like it or not, there is an agreement that the union has made with the city of Muncie. And in that agreement, it says if there is substance abuse And if the officer is self-reports or is found to have a substance abuse issue, that they should be offered treatment. And if they successfully complete the treatment, then they are given a second chance, essentially. If that's something that they should not have, if that's something that we don't like, then we need to talk to our elected officials. We need to tell Ridenour or whoever, we want to change this. As of now, the agreement between the City of Muncie and the police union is, if there is an issue with this, the officers should be permitted to go to treatment. Just one second chance, is I guess what they're saying. The agreement, okay, apparently was followed. These officers self-reported that they had, in fact, and everyone keeps saying, well, there's a law about them being, we don't have knowledge or proof. We don't have knowledge or proof that these officers were high while working. What we have knowledge of is that while off duty, these officers engaged in marijuana. See, if I'm walking down a street and a police officer has reason to stop me, and I'm carrying a joint, I'm carrying marijuana, I'm carrying cocaine, and the police officer sees it's cocaine, I can be arrested for possession. If I walk up to a police officer and I say, "Yo, officer, 2 months ago I snorted cocaine," I'm not going to be arrested for that. You can't be arrested for telling an officer, 2 months ago I snorted cocaine. What these officers did was apparently self-report. They were questioned and they admitted to it. They were given an opportunity to go to treatment. They both went to treatment. I don't think it was an issue that they were given drug tests. I think they self-reported. They apparently took a test and it was then positive, but they were both given the shot according to their agreement, and they went to treatment. They both successfully completed the treatment. After successfully completing the treatment, they were then suspended and fired. That's where the problem is. The problem is the agreement was not followed after they successfully completed the agreement. They clearly failed the drug screen, and when they did, the drugs at work or not shouldn't matter. You can't. So the issue here is that when the police chief, so if we go back to my original story on this, when this first happened, let me pull this up. Okay. So the original story says, breaking news out of Muncie, Indiana. 2 Muncie City police officers, Jonathan Powell and Lance Clay, have been fired from the Muncie City Police Department on Thursday, February 8th, 2023, after the City of Muncie Police Merit Commission had held a closed-door hearing earlier in the week and then held a hearing Thursday where the officers were accused of obtaining and ingesting cocaine in January of 2023. And it was not February 8th, 2024. Excuse me. They had a closed-door hearing where earlier in the week, they then held the closed-door hearing, and then they held the hearing on Thursday, February 8th, 2024, where the officers were accused of obtaining and ingesting cocaine in January of 2023, so a year before this. According to documents, the Muncie City Police Chief, Nate Sloan, filed a related disciplinary complaint with the Merit Commission in March of 2023. During the hearing on Thursday, the commission member, Carissa Aguiar, read aloud the panel's findings, and the commission then took a vote on Officer Powell, in which they voted 5-0 to terminate him immediately. They then voted on Officer Clay, in which they voted 5-0 to terminate him immediately as well. Both men had not been on active duty since the allegations were first raised in March of 2023. Neither Powell nor Clay addressed the panel during the hearing. The commission found that both Powell and Clay had engaged in conduct unbecoming an officer. The commission also called their actions both felonious and immoral. Now, it is important to note that this was basically handled through employment disciplinary matters. There was never a police report made. To my knowledge, these officers were not found with cocaine. Okay. And Chief Sloan, so because it's important to know that, because since they were not found with cocaine, they were not in possession of cocaine, there was never any paperwork sent to the prosecutor's office. So there were no charges ever filed. Chief Sloan released the following statement. The Muncie City Police Department is charged with enforcing the laws and combating crime within the city of Muncie. We address those things. We address those that violate the laws, making civilized culture possible. While human and prone to making mistakes, we are not above those laws and hold ourselves to a higher standard. As such, there is zero tolerance for any kind of criminal activity within our ranks. Clay had been an officer since 2018, while Powell had been on the force since 2016. Okay, so the issue here is, okay, if you really want to be mad at someone, if we want to be mad at somebody, we need to be mad at the Ridenour administration. We need to be upset that the Ridenour administration hires and deals with folks that are so inept that they cannot do the basic function of the job, such as the police chief, such as the HR director, such as various other department heads within the Ridenour administration. Because for as bad and dirty and crooked as the Tyler administration was, I will tell you, when individuals were fired under the Tyler administration, and keep in mind, I'm not a Democrat, okay? So relax with that. However, when individuals were fired and they sued or went to mediation, they didn't get their jobs back because the HR director under the Tyler administration handled things by the book, and they did things the right and proper way. But it seems like Ridenour hires folks that are not of the very best quality, and they do questionable things. And when they do that, the problem is it hurts us, the people. It hurts us. It hurts us. Get it? So when we want our police to be held accountable, we need a police chief that is capable of doing what needs to be done among his ranks. We need an HR director that is at themselves enough to do what needs to be done. I can't tell you how many people have been fired under the Ridenour administration and then brought back because they did something the Ridenour administration did something in the wrong manner. They did something by jumping the gun. They didn't have all of their ducks in a row. They didn't have all of their documentation in a row. Oh, get 1 second. We'll get to what the taxpayers win through this deal.
Hold on. Yeah. You're also leaving something very important out. Who was the person that negotiated the contract?
I don't understand what you're saying.
Did Mayor Ridenour include the council when he was negotiating the contract?
No.
So he set up a contract that allows them to get rehab.
Well, no. In fairness, so we got to figure out what. Okay, so we're currently in the 2024 year where we have a contract for a year, and they're currently working on a contract for next year already. Right. In 2023, they had a contract that was a 3-year contract. What?
I'm backwards. It's okay.
Yeah. So the contract that would have been in place in 2023 would have been in place for 3 years. It would have still been under the Tyler administration, that contract. That being said, the bottom line is it's the contract. I mean, the bottom line is when you have a contract in place, you have to follow through with the contract that is set forth. Okay. All right. So the last time that Tyler did the contract was 19, and they did it for a year. You're right. Dan did work on this agreement, and they did have his left-hand man on the council, Aaron Clark there, but they didn't have proper council people there, I would say. And so what happens is they're essentially set forward where they have a contract that they did not follow. That is the crux of the issue here. Ridenour and his legal team, his HR team, the chief of police, and I want to put this out there. I have an individual, and I can tell you, I can say this right 1,000% with 1,000% knowing that it is the truth. If we want to be perfectly honest, there is an individual that I am aware of that notified Chief Sloan within the first quarter of this chief's administration that at least one of these officers, and I'm not going to name which officer, but at least one of these officers was currently dealing with substance abuse addiction to cocaine. There's an individual that I am aware of that was standing in Nate Sloan's office while Nate Sloan was chief of police, and a person told Nate Sloan during the first quarter of 2020, and this person said, you have an officer, and this officer is dealing with substance abuse issues, and the substance is cocaine. That means that Sloan was aware, and I'm not going to say which one, but you can assume it was either Powell or Clay. One of those two people were told to Sloan that they had an issue with substance abuse issue, and they did nothing about it. Matter of fact, he did nothing with it until March of 2023. So he did nothing with it in all of 2020. He did nothing in all of 2021. He did nothing in all of 2022. And he did nothing until March of 2023. To me, that is a major issue. The fact that the chief of police knew this and did nothing for 3 years. All right. So the ruling on this lawsuit, the lawsuit was filed in September of 2023. And the lawsuit, basically, the officers filed a lawsuit during their disciplinary issue. They were saying, hey, we don't think that they're following the FOP agreement. We have issue with this. We want the court to make a ruling. And at that time, the court said, we can't make a ruling. You've got to follow this through to see what happens. And then at that point, we can have jurisdiction. After the officers were fired, the court case then went forward. Now, I'm going to go into the court. I'm going to go into the paperwork in deep manner, but on my filing, I pasted the last page as the first picture. And this is very important. The judge says, based upon evidence before the court, the decision of the Muncie Police Merit Commission was an abuse of discretion, arbitrary and capricious, contrary to law, and in violation of the contractual rights of the petitioners, which are both of the officers, pursuant to the FOP agreement. The order then reads, the decision of the respondent, the City of Muncie, to terminate the employment of the petitioners, Officers Powell and Clay, is hereby reversed. The respondent is ordered to immediately reinstate Officers Clay and Powell to their prior positions within the Muncie Police Department. Furthermore, the City of Muncie is further ordered to reimburse the petitioners for all salary and all other benefits lost since the time that the petitioners were each suspended, which would have been March of 2023, without pay, less any money made while on suspension according to law. So I just want to be real clear. They are entitled to back pay, and the City of Muncie is going to have to write them a check out of their payroll. And if we're talking about the city already being in a really hard situation money-wise, that's going to be a problem. The other issue here is that the city police, I believe, are currently at full roster. So in order to put these two guys back on, they have to pop off the last two people hired, I believe. And this is going to be this is a nightmare. And let me tell you, while everyone can think all of whatever they want to think, people, if you want to be mad at the cops, be mad at the cops. I get it. I understand. It's not good that you've got police officers running around doing cocaine. Not a good thing. The fact that these two guys successfully completed rehab, here's the deal. If they're tested and they're clean, hey, people screw up. People screw up. Like shit happens. I'm not saying that it's good. It's definitely not good. It's a horrible deal. But if these two people are clean and they remain clean, then you've got to follow the contract. Now, from what it sounds like, and I have not seen the contract, the last year's contract, so it sounds like they've taken this out. But you cannot get a firearm with drug use, right? Absolutely. But the thing is, if they're clean, then they're no longer committing drug use. But keep in mind, while everyone out here saying, well, you can't get a firearm with drug use, how many people saying that smokes marijuana daily and also is major Second Amendment supporters? Send that to me, Andrew, if you would, please. How many people out here are supportive of the Second Amendment and out here saying, hey, when is Ridenour going to talk about legalizing marijuana. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Charges are not filed. Okay, so let's stick to the law. The law is you've got two. You want me to stick to the law? So it's only we only stick to the law when it matters and it fits the other agenda. We stick to the law. We've got two individuals who have never been charged with anything, and so therefore, they are fine to be police officers. I mean, what do you mean stick to the law? What law do you want to stick to? I'm not throwing this guy a party. We're not friends. If you want to talk about any police officer that's on, the number of police officers that I know anymore on the city police department shrink. It shrinks daily. There are, out of all of the officers hired on MPD, I know none of them. All the old guys I know are all retired. They've all already been left, retired, broken down, fired, or in jail or whatever. You know what I mean? So I've got no allegiance to anybody on MPD. There's nothing as far as that goes. So, you know, I've got no allegiance to these guys. Out of anyone on there, to be perfectly honest, John Powell's probably one of my least preferred individuals. I'm not a fan of John Powell, just to be perfectly honest with you. We have ran completely counter each other. But at the end of the day, if his employment agreement says that if he has substance abuse issues and he successfully completes substance abuse training, treatment, how do you do that? How do you do that? I know these two cops can't be trusted. That's a very, I mean, look, I'll be honest. I don't know how they would be. I mean, to me, it seems like an issue with them. You know, how do you trust them with drugs that they find on the street? How do you trust them testifying in court? This brings in a lot of questions. Absolutely. 1,000%. 1,000%. A CDL driver couldn't have, but that's not true though. A CDL driver with the City of Muncie at one point it was in the AFSCME contract. So look, we're at that point where the problem is I get what you're saying. Listen, I'm not against what you're saying at all. I'm just telling you, at the end of the day, the problem here is it's only the union that protects them, if so. Absolutely. Well, yeah, right. But look, I'm not a union man, but that's the thing. That's the whole point of the union. That's the reason AFSCME is so concerned about what's going on. You know what I mean? Because here you've got AFSCME people that are getting screwed over left and right for things that are, let me tell you, a lot less than doing cocaine, and they can't get any help. And that's the other issue. We've got the City of Muncie who has yet to make a deal with them for the 2024 AFSCME contract. They're not even starting the negotiation for the 2025 contract. And I heard last week the city's already sitting down with AFSCME, already sitting down with fire. And I'm sure police is either already handled or not far behind for their 2025 contract. Ridenour bends over backwards to do whatever he can with the police and fire because he's afraid of the political backlash that they will bring. What AFSCME needs to do is let him know, you're afraid of the police and fire backlash. We will bring it to you 3 times as heavy, 3 times as hard. That 10% raise, absolutely. Absolutely. Look, I get it. This is a screwed up situation all the way around. At the end of the day, this is a screw up on Dan Ridenour and his administration all the way around. All the way around. I can tell you people, I won't mention names, but I can tell you there have been other people. I can tell you there have been other people in the city government that have been fired for less things, but they also were not handled appropriately. They were not handled properly, and these people needed to be brought back. And it's sad. It's sad because we've got Ridenour. Look at what Ridenour's had this summer. It started off in May when they announced that Ridenour was going up to the camp, and that was a big deal, and he started getting bashed over that. It really started off with the Green Light Resources debacle. That started it off. Then the Dream with Dan camp started. What was the next thing happened? Then they paid AFSCME the 10% without out of contract. That was a big deal. Then the controller's office announced that the City of Muncie was looking at a financial crisis.
And that was over just $60,000, wasn't it?
Yeah, right. That was $60,000. Listen, this is going to be a couple $100,000, this police debacle.
Well, it's almost 18 months of back pay. Plus the 10% raise, plus benefits. Mm-hmm. Right, they're looking at 100 to 120 probably by the time they're done a piece.
Yeah.
So we're probably closer to $250,000, $300,000.
Yeah.
Now, that could be a financial crisis. If 60 was a financial crisis, 250, the city is fucked.
Yeah. I don't. That's going to buy a lot of cocaine. And here's the thing. I'd like to know, what does Nate Sloan say when he's given the question, why did you know that this officer, one of these officers, was dealing with this back in the first quarter of 2020 and not do anything about it for 3 years? For 3 years, he did not try to discipline this officer in the correct manner. Maybe if they would have tried to deal with it in 2020, it wouldn't have been an issue in 2023, or it would have been, and they could have properly fired them. Trying to protect the pigs. I'm not trying to protect the cops in any way here. I've not said anything that is protectionist of the police. I could care less what happens to these two officers. There's no love lost for either one of these two guys. I know neither one of them. I have had political personal dealings with Powell as it relates to his mother And other than that, I've got no use or no care for either one of them. At the end of the day, Ridenour and his team has to deal with shit the right way, or it costs us. It's being concerned with what happens to the taxpayer. Being concerned because they wouldn't do this the right way. We all feel the burn. We all have to deal with the nonsense of this. And look, we get to deal with the fact that, well, MPD's got 2 cokeheads on the department now. You know what I mean? Like, it's right. Timing issue. That's the point is that this is the administration yet again failing to do the proper thing. This is the administration failing to do what they should be doing to protect the public, protect their employees, and deal with folks the right way. Whoever wrote the contract knew what they were doing. Well, absolutely. Yeah. Look, that's the thing. I mean, obviously the contract is supposed to be put in place. I mean, that's the whole back and forth of the negotiation, right? So the unions wanting to protect their people with the biggest umbrella of protection possible, and the city's chipping away at it. Meanwhile, the Ridenour and his team will give the police and the fire everything on the contract that they want. Meanwhile, they work as hard as they can to screw over AFSCME. You know, they need to treat all 3 unions the same. If they're going to work hard to get a contract for the fire, and it's going to be a protectionist contract for the fire, then it needs to be protectionist for the police, and it needs to be protectionist for AFSCME. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing too. But these contracts need to be written in such a way that they're not letting these guys get off for doing crazy shit that someone out in the real world, in the private sector, wouldn't get. Because, yeah, you're right. If you are a truck driver, if you work at a construction job, or if you work at wherever, you know, if you have an office job and you're doing cocaine in the bathroom, or you get a random test and you piss for heroin, yeah, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to get fired. I mean, it is what it is. So it needs to be, they need to understand that they're government employees, and it needs to be done so in the right way that, you're protecting them from overreach of the administration, but you're not protecting these people so much from their stupid ass behaviors. I'm surprised there was a clause in the contract covering drug use for cops. Yeah, I mean, kind of a weird deal, huh? That is a weird situation. Let's see. See what I've got here. Okay. I'm looking through. Give me 1 second here. I'm reading through this contract. Yeah, no, I'm not reading through the contract. Excuse me, I'm reading through when it was signed. So the December 2023-2020 Resolution 321 was signed. A resolution of the Common Council of the City of Muncie, Indiana, approving the collective bargaining agreement with the Greg Winters Memorial Fraternal Order of Police Lodge. And it was voted on by Ralph Smith, Jeff Robinson, Ray Dudley, Bradley Pohl, Jerry Dishman, Anitra Davis, Aaron Clark, Troy Ingram, and Rose Selvey. And it was okay. It was put forward. It was put forward on the 4th of January, 2021. Got the entire contract here. Let me see if I can get down to job stress counseling, drug and alcohol policy 38, page 35. Okay. First offense. All right, so let's listen to this. This is interesting. 3801, philosophy and purpose. Substance abuse is a concern because of its relationship to and adverse effects upon job performance, productivity, sickness, accidents, and injuries in the workplace. The illegal use of drugs or the use of alcohol during work time tends to make the affected employee less productive, less reliable, and prone to greater absenteeism, and threatens the Muncie Police Department's ability to function properly. The department cannot tolerate any use of alcohol or any illegal drugs use which might impair the health and well-being of its employees. All department employees have the right to work in a drug-free environment and to work with persons free from the effects of substance abuse. The city and the FOP Lodge 87 agree that the use of alcohol during work time is prohibited. The city and the FOP Lodge 87 also agree that the use of illegal drugs and the abuse of prescription drugs is prohibited during working time and while off duty. Further, the parties hereto agree that being under the influence of alcohol or illegal drugs during work time is prohibited. First offense, submission to treatment by the officer. The early recognition and treatment of substance abuse is important for successful rehabilitation, for reduced personal, family, and social disruption. This is also important in the operation of the department. The FOP Lodge 87 and the city jointly have in place an employee assistance program, EAP, which shall assist in meeting the employee's needs. This is a voluntary confidential service between the employee and the EAP counselor and shall not be shared with employer for disciplinary purposes, nor shall the report of any discussion become part of the employee's personal file except as otherwise provided in 38.3b. Below paragraphs are provided by the police officer who completes the program. Voluntary participation in a substance abuse treatment program shall not be reflected in the employee's personal file. However, failure to complete such program shall be reflected in the employee's personal file, and the EAP counselor shall notify the chief of police. It is understood that if the officer voluntarily enters a substance abuse treatment program through EAP and successfully completes the program, then record of the participation and completion shall not be reflected in the employee's personnel file. Further, no disciplinary action will take place against the officer with voluntary entrance and completion of the substance abuse treatment program. If the officer failed to complete a substance abuse treatment program, the officer entered voluntarily, or in the event the officer tests positive for purpose of this paragraph, to be defined as testing positive for drugs, due to course of investigation or random drug screening pursuant to the second confirmatory test, such officer shall face disciplinary action up to but not included termination for the first-time offense. They shall also be given 3 options by the city, which shall include the following: voluntarily quit employment with the city, retire, or enter mandatory substance abuse treatment resource available through EAP. For officers that choose option 3 and failed a substance abuse treatment program, which was entered voluntarily by the EAP, and the officer will require to provide the city with the progress report. This shall be reflected in the employee's personnel file, but still considered a first-time offense. It is understood and agreed that in the event the officer who has randomly tested positive for drugs or alcohol based on reasonable suspicion and does not complete the mandatory abuse treatment program shall only have options 1 and 2 left. The officer does not elect to voluntarily quit or retire, then the chief of police may pursue the termination of the employment through the Muncie Police Merit Commission after disciplinary charges have been presented. In the event the officer successfully completes the program, no further discipline shall be invoked against each officer. Any officer, whether based on random selection or reasonable suspicion, who has completed the substance abuse treatment program that tests positive for drugs during the subsequent 24-month period, shall only have options 1 and 2 available to him or her. If the officer does not elect to voluntarily quit, they can pursue the charges. The city may conduct non-random drug screens as requested by the police chief on any officer. Okay, so then that gets down in there. So basically, essentially, this is important to ensure that the treatment program was successful. So, yeah, there's that. Let's see here. Let me see what see what we got going on here now. So essentially what happens there then is I mean, it's definitely put in place to assist them. The bottom line is, if the city of Muncie has agreed to this, then I mean, I don't understand why they would do something different than that. The fact that they would, the fact that the Ridenour administration would do something counter what is in this agreement, in my opinion, shows how ignorant they just don't care. They're willing to do what they want, and they don't care that it's going to cost the taxpayers. Yeah, Alva. Yeah. Absolutely. Dan lied about what? Anybody can lie. Just don't lie to the feds. One time, I was with some idiot that I used to know, who may or may not be sitting in a jail cell awaiting trial in October. And we were talking to two police officers in Union City, and the police officers asked us our name, and I was like, Jimbo. And Josh looked at me and he was like, you can't lie to him. That's a crime. And I was like, no, it's not. Shut up. And he's like, yeah, it's a crime to lie to the police. I said, no, dude, it's a crime to lie to the feds. That's what the feds will tell you, that you can lie to the police anytime you want. As long as specifically when you're not being accused of anything, and when you've not done anything wrong. It amazed me how stupid he was. Dan's behind a rock and a wall on this one. Yeah, the whole thing, this is bad all the way around. Look, and I don't have a problem to say this. Andrew, I don't know, maybe Andrew, are you still here? Andrew's has a personal connection to this, is personally friends with one of these officers. And so he's specifically happy. I'm not happy about this. I'm not happy about the fact that we have officers that are using cocaine. They to the point that they are being terminated, and then they're off for, gobs and gobs and gobs of time. And then they sue. And then because we have an idiot in charge as mayor, and everything with the contract is all jacked, that these people now get put back in, and we get to pay them, hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's just completely ignorant. We get screwed all the way. We get screwed by every aspect of this. We're screwed. We're screwed by the police. We're screwed by the police department, by Ridenour, by the FOP. The citizens of Muncie bite the bullet on this, on every single, on everything. We're hurt all the way around. And it's mind-numbing to me that we literally have people that are sitting here twiddling their thumbs saying, well, they're doing a good job. Well, he's doing a good job. Look, everything is going really well. I don't know. And Andrew's not happy that citizens are getting screwed. Yeah, I would say that. He's happy that his friend is so. Look, and I'll be honest, I get where GW is coming from and everybody else. I can't go as far as saying that either one of those men are sober. They claim to be sober. I know what I would do if I was the man in charge. I would have had I would have called them up and had them taking a drug test Friday at 3:00. This ruling came out at 2:00. They would have been taking their first piss tests at 4:00 that evening. Then as soon as they got done with that piss test, I would have been at their house Saturday morning and been like, okay, we're going to do a mouth swab. It's going to be a long time before these two guys are thinking. And look, here's the deal. There might be people who are saying well, that's really harsh. Like, drug abuse is a sickness and yada, yada, yada. Okay, great. When you want to have a job as a traveling Bible salesman, I will look at it like that. When you've got a badge pinned on your chest and you carry a gun and you can take my freedom and take my life, I'm not going to necessarily give you the benefit of the doubt that you're not high on cocaine and freaking out and you're not going to shoot me because I weighed you down to ask directions for someplace. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. That's what everyone's saying is, so the Newcastle. I wasn't used to people saying NC for Newcastle. I didn't know they did that. NC to me has always been North Carolina. But when I started getting into Henry County politics, everyone I know started saying, like, hey, I'm down in NC. And I'm like, what are you doing in North Carolina? And they're like, no, Newcastle, you idiot. And I was like, oh, okay. So now, anytime I see, I've brainwashed myself into thinking that NC is now Newcastle, even when it's now North Carolina. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. Will the last two hires have to pop off? Which, think about that. All right. Think about that. One of those new hires was the was the North Carolina guy that people are up in arms about. But the other one, maybe he's not. Maybe he's going to be a good cop. He's going to go out there. He's going to save lives, and he's going to know everybody's rights, and he's going to treat everybody wonderful, and he's going to be a good cop. Probably not. But let's just live in fantasy world for a second. And now he gets screwed over because of these guys. What kind of bullshit's that? Yes, Karen, there's definitely an off balance in this issue. I was working for a company in Columbus, Ohio, and I got popped 4 months in a row on a random drug screen test. I got pissed because I thought that they were trying to insinuate that I was doing drugs when I do not do drugs. I went to the boss and raised hell, and he said, I know you don't do drugs. That's why you're the one that went and took the test. I can't send... That's hilarious, Alva. Oh my God. And then you go work for a job like I don't know, car salesman or something, where like if you're not pissing dirty, you're probably not going to get the job. You know what I mean? So it's really crazy to me how the world works. But look, I don't want my cops higher than the people they're dealing with. That never turns out well. And so this is a bad deal. This is a bad deal all the way around. And it's bad that the citizens of Muncie are going to get screwed. And this is a screwing that just keeps on coming. Because folks, we're not all done with everything yet. Did I tell you guys the other day, Kate, that the city of Muncie brought back an employee that retired solely to handle my record requests? I didn't make that comment. So the other day, I get a phone call, and the thing is, I saw it was from the city of Muncie, and I was like, well, who's calling me from there? And I answered. I said, hello. And the voice on the other phone, I recognized as somebody who had retired back in like May. And I was like, what are you doing at City of Muncie? And this person said, oh, they brought me back in here to straighten some of this stuff up. And I was like, I know what they did. They were like, they brought you back to deal with my record request, didn't they? And we like laughed about it. We got off the phone. And a couple of hours later, I get called by somebody else who's like in the know. And they're like, the person called me to say, hey, have you heard they brought back so-and-so? And I was like, yeah, I just talked to that person. And the person's like, do you know why they brought that person back? And I was like, no. And they said, specifically to deal with your record request. So, knock on wood or whatever's around you. We just might be able to start getting requests done properly. I'm not holding my breath though. Yeah, Stumblefoot, you remember when T-Bone was selling cocaine out of the cop car? Look, these two guys were just doing cocaine. Who remembers the Muncie police officer that was literally selling cocaine out of his Muncie police car? Remember that? I mean, let me look this up here. See if I can get this. Yeah, right here. Yeah. Oh, man. Look here. This appeared in the newspaper back on Wednesday, 15th of May, 2022. Muncie cop cold cocaine while on duty, officials say. A police officer who faces drug charges was videotaped selling cocaine from his patrol car while on duty, a prosecutor said. The footage was recorded by a police drug task force hours before Tyrone Haskins, T-Bone, was arrested while on duty Friday. Delaware County Prosecutor Rick Reed said Monday they watched him do it. And when he was arrested, he was in possession, Reed told the Star Press. That's all. If there's no more article there, I wish it was. God. We've actually gotten better. Look, I'm going to be honest. The city of Muncie is better today than it was, say, in 1970 or 1985. We're better off than we were in like 95. It's better. Sheriff Gibson. It's definitely better off than it was even in the early 2000s. We've still got a long way to go, but Fike was an attorney, obviously, but he wasn't in with the Bryans. Forget who Fike was in with. Man, these people have been judges forever. I'd say he's probably done this time. That's one way to look at it, timing issues. The pay's so shitty in Muncie, you've got to sell drugs to pay bills when working for the city. Oh God, that's not even funny. That is serious. Hey, in other City of Muncie news, basically related to this, not related to it, but related to it. This thing is being posted around, and I want people to see this. I want to. Is that Netscape? I don't know what the hell that is. I just look at that. I just Googled it, and that's what popped up as. That's funny. Let me see if I can find. What a weird life. Let's see here. See if I can ethicsinpolicing.com. Let's see here. Oh yeah, here we go. Here you want to hear some before we get to the other thing. I was just looking to see if I could find that story. Here's this. Cops didn't get arrested for, let's see. Get this blown up a little bit more. Misconduct by police has decreased from 23 in 1996 to only 2 this year, 97, I would assume, before the latest incidents. Despite 2 recent cases of Muncie police officers accused of crimes, widespread disciplinary problems with the force have been declining during the last 5 years. People here are starting to get it, said Police Chief Joe Winkle comically, who has overseen the department since 96. There are going to be repercussions for criminal behavior and violations of general rules. A report on suspensions involving Muncie police show 109 cases of disciplinary actions since 1996, with 6 firings, split between police committing crimes and other misconduct. Those statistics don't include our recent resignation of Jason Lyons, who faces criminal charges of joyriding with college students. I remember that, in the backseat of his car. Or Jeff Least, accused of battery with deadly weapon after hitting a friend of his daughter's with a service weapon. Remember that. But they do include the worst crime a Muncie police officer committed in recent years, with the conviction of former Officer Tyrone Haskins for dealing cocaine out of the back of the police car while on duty. He also is the only officer who went to prison in the last 5 years for committing a crime. Another cocaine-dealing cop, Robert L. Jones, was convicted and sent to prison in 92. The biggest damage is that it just gives you a black eye, said the chief about police accused of crimes. The report shows a high of 23 disciplinary actions when Winkle first took over as chief in 96, with suspensions declining to only 2 this year before the latest incidents. Before I took this job, there were a lot of things internally that had not been addressed, said Winkle, who is expected to be replaced when a new mayor takes office January 1. Winkle said he took over the department that was not performing, that had inadequate supervision, and was not actively making arrests. Some of the steps taken included putting more officers and supervisors on the street, making more arrests, and restructuring investigative divisions. We also started to address guys coming to work late or failure to perform duties, said Winkle, besides addressing criminal conduct. It all started with a guy who failed a drug test, said Winkle, referring to former officer Brian Wages, who got 180 days suspension in 96 for tampering and failing a drug test. Then there was former Officer Gary Cox, who also failed a drug test and was arrested in 1999 for growing more than 100 marijuana plants at his home. Winkle believed the disciplinary action dropped in recent years because of better supervision and younger department. About half of the 110 officers have worked under Winkle, who said newer officers understand the rules. Patrolman Mike Nickens is an example of the new generation of Muncie police officers. He recently received the Officer of the Year award from local pilot club for making 75 drug arrests during last year. I love going out and doing what I enjoy, said Nickens, yada, yada, yada. All right, I'm done with the whole Nickens nonsense. All right, so that's that comically. Muncie has had a definitely a colorful past. All right, on to the other news I was going to share. Here, ladies and gentlemen, is the thing that I was talking about. Ridenour does not bargain in good faith. AFSCME, support your local union. Okay, so there's that. This has been pushed all over social media. Last time that they put this out there, Ridenour wasn't too happy about it. So I think that this is interesting. What interests me about this is Ridenour is already hard at work negotiating with the police and fire unions. As I said just moments ago, I have heard that just last week they were already in negotiations with police and fire. And the fact that they're willing to just bust down and do whatever those two unions want, while whatever it is that they're doing with AFSCME is just absolutely gross. So we need to give them a lot of hell over this and continue to push back. I posted Muncie Mayor Dan Ridenour, Deputy Mayor Richard Ivey, City Controller Craig Wright, Deputy Controller Matt Wegley, and anyone and everyone else involved with these negotiations should be ashamed of themselves. As recently as this past week, August 12th through 16th, the city administration has already been back at it, hard at work negotiating with the Muncie City Fire Department, and I'm sure the police department isn't far behind. Maybe they've already finished them off or for the next 3-year contract. As per usual, they are doing whatever they can to keep the police and fire unions happy because of the possible political ramifications. But here we are, almost September of 2024. They haven't reached an agreement with AFSCME for 2024, nor have they even started the negotiations for 2025 and beyond. It really is telling. But it's time to say enough is enough. We, the people, must deliver a resounding message to the Ridenour administration. We expect them to come back to the table and negotiate in a manner that is fair. If they can work with the police and fire unions to reach an agreement in the short time it takes them, then they need to be able to do the same with the AFSCME union. The political spotlight stands with Nate Burgess and the rest of the Muncie City AFSCME 3656 employees. It's just absolutely ridiculous what they're doing. So we will continue fighting that fight and seeing what's going on there. Yeah, so from where I see, most of the emails are working, to my knowledge. I mean, hell, Amber Green just started like a week and a half ago, and she's already been emailing. We do not, I will say, unfortunately, we do not have a red banner tonight for the Basham countdown. I have to make that. I'll make those as soon as we get off here. But it being today is Sunday, the 18th of August, today is the 230th day. That's right. 230 days without correspondence from Dale Basham, Counselor Basham. It's ridiculous. Maybe his email's just permanently broken. Although I have talked to a couple of other officials within Muncie government who are starting to claim that they are getting upset with Basham and the inability that that he just seems to not be able to communicate with people. They're getting sick of it. So we are making a difference. More people are starting to call him on it, and it's really starting to sit not so well with other people on the council and elsewhere within City Hall. So I'm happy to hear that other people are getting mad about what's going on, and maybe we'll have other people help push that a little bit. I will get that. I will get the rest of the banners up for the next 2 weeks. Hopefully we don't need them, but I always prepare them 2 weeks in advance because they're kind of a pain in the ass to prepare. So I just go ahead and get them all done, hoping that we won't need them, but assuming nothing's going to change. So we just need to keep that in mind. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for this episode. I've got some things I need to do, and I need to get some last minute stuff taken care of before the week starts. So we're going to go ahead and call it a night. You guys have a great evening. Make sure you get out those your pocketbook, because the citizens of Muncie, we're going to have to pay, because the city of Muncie has a horrible mayor and an even worse mayor's administration. They continue to fumble the ball every chance they get, and every time they do it, we're the ones that get to foot the bill. Isn't that special? So if you guys are interested in checking out the ruling on the officers, there is an 11-page ruling. I will put a link to the 11 pages in the description of this. It's also on my social media. Here's a picture of Officer Powell. Here's a picture of Officer Clay. And then, of course, here is the 11-page ruling. I have posted it on my social media. I will post a link. I will post a link to the 11-page ruling from the court in the description of this episode if you are interested in taking a look at that. So all you'll have to do is click on that link and be able to see it. So stay tuned for that. Check that out if you're interested. We will be back here tomorrow night at 9 p.m., God willing, and I think Catherine might be joining us to talk about some things going on in Madison County. We've got a busy week planned, and we will see what happens. We'll also be talking about the solar this week and probably Henry County. So a big week planned. You guys have a great rest of your Sunday night. Have a great start back to the work week tomorrow, and we will see you all then. Good night. God bless. Goodbye. You know,